Howdy, everybody. Cliffy here from Cliff Dive into Movies, and let's take a deep dive to 1987 and let's talk about Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity.
In the end, no one wins the game of life.
Yes, but I prefer to lose as slowly as I can.
Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity is the quintessential low budget 1980s B movie. And by that, I mean it has everything you could possibly want in it. It has barefoot women in jungle bikini tops and loincloths, gladiator outfits, spaceships, bickering androids, cyborg aliens, zombies, big guns, a cool villain, top 80s and 90s scream queen Brinke Stevens, and did I mention women in jungle bikini outfits? In other words, the perfect B movie. And yes, before you say I want good acting and good dialogue, look, if it had good acting, good dialogue, and a decent budget, it wouldn't be a low budget B movie. Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity stars Elizabeth Kaitan as Daria. In the credits, she's listed as, well, Elizabeth Kaitan, but it's spelled differently than what she normally spells it as. And the movie also stars Cindy Beal as Tissa. I haven't been able to find too much information about the movie online, but it seems that the original title was Beyond Infinity, and Slave Girls was added later in the process, just before it was released to help sell it, which it does. Which kind of explains why in the movie the women are never referred to as slaves. In fact, you don't actually find out how Daria and Tissa became chained up in a solitary cell on a spaceship barefoot and in loincloths. Actually, it's refreshing that no pointless backstory is given for the women because, well, it's not important to the story. I mean, the movie is only an hour, 10 minutes long, so the story moves at a pretty fast pace. Also, I am curious why two women or two people would be put into a solitary cell together. And what about that spaceship? It has a pretty cool looking front and has a lot of detail. I like this little helicopter that's in there. I always figured this was either borrowed from another movie or was made for a movie that just didn't get made. Daria and Tissa make a good team. Daria is optimistic and seems to be the leader of the two, and Tissa is the sarcastic and pessimistic one. Both women are equals, but it does seem that Daria is more the star of the movie than Tissa. The villain of the movie is Zed, played by Don Schreiber. Looking him up on IMDb, he has a pretty long movie resume. He's done a lot of stuff. I like Zed. Zed is interesting and seems to have some sort of inner turmoil. At Zed's home base are two other people who have crash landed on Zed's planet, Shala and her brother, Rick. Shala is played by Brinke Stevens, who is the #1 scream queen from the 1980s and the 1990s. However, I'm sure you have your favorites, so in the comments, let me know who your favorite scream queen is, or was. Truth be told, since she's not the star of the movie, she doesn't get much to do. Rick is played by Carl Horner. This is the only movie he did as an actor. He has since become a top production designer and art director. Rick is a bit annoying, but at the dinner scene, he was just trying to pretend to be drunk to annoy Zed. Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity is an adaptation of the short story The Most Dangerous Game, written by Richard Connell and first published in 1924. Ken Dixon wrote the screenplay, directed, and produced this movie. Daria and Tissa are two women who are confined to solitary confinement, which manage to escape, steal a ship, and then crash land on a planet. There they find Zed, who lives on the planet, and two other people who are the last survivors of another ship that crash landed a week ago, Shala and her brother, Rick. Zed hunts the people who crash land on the planet one by one, except at the end of the movie when he decides to hunt Daria, Tissa, and Shala all at the same time. If they survive the night, he will let them live, which may or may not be a lie. Although I guess Zed is telling the truth, because there's this alien cyborg who's running around the jungle, and some reason Zed has not made any attempt to kill this guy. In fact, we see Zed coming face to face with the guy in the beginning of the movie, and the alien cyborg shoots at a woman who Zed is hunting. The cyborg misses, oddly. So I don't know why Zed hasn't bothered to try to hunt this guy down. Shala and Rick are killed, and Daria and Tissa make it to the Phantom Zone, where they meet this guy, the cyborg alien, find big guns, and eventually have a final battle with Zed back at his fortress. And no, it's never really explained where Daria finds the gladiator outfits, but presumably among Zed's stuff. After an epic battle, critically wounded, the Predator blows himself up, and Dutch narrowly escapes. I mean, after an epic battle, Daria and Tissa critically wound Zed, and Zed blows up his home base, and Daria and Tissa narrowly escape. Slave Girls came out in September of 1987, and Predator came out in June of 1987. Not sure when Slave Girls was made, but I would be willing to bet it was made after June. The budget for Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity was $90,000, which I think the filmmakers got a lot out of their money. The cyborg alien looks good. The androids look good. I know a lot of people criticize the jungle, but I grew up watching Doctor Who, and at least this jungle, they took the plants out of the pots. If you like women in loincloths, this is definitely the movie for you. Daria and Tissa spend most of the movie in their bikini tops and loincloths, although they do clean up quite nicely when they have dinner with Zed. After dinner, they explore Zed's temple and the surrounding jungle and beach. Instead of putting on regular clothes, they do this in lingerie Zed provided for them to sleep in. Tissa and Daria clearly are used to going around scantily clad and barefoot and are unbothered about running around the jungle with no shoes. Compare this with the woman seen running in the jungle in the beginning of the movie, who isn't really running, but more like tiptoeing through the jungle. This is either supposed to be sexy, or the character is uncomfortable running around barefoot, or most likely the actress was. I do remember reading somewhere that Brinke Stevens said that she wasn't too happy about doing her scenes barefoot. When Zed hunts Daria, Tissa, and Shala at the end of the movie, Zed provides Shala with a Jungle Girl outfit similar to Daria and Tissa's. Sorry, girls, but Zed doesn't provide Rick with a Tarzan outfit. An interesting detail is that the outfit that Zed provides Shala is cleaner and newer looking than the one that Daria and Tissa wears, implying that Daria and Tissa have worn theirs for a long time. In 2014, Brinke Stevens starred in a movie called Trophy Heads. An obsessed fan kidnaps 6 former Scream Queens and recreates an iconic death from one of their movies for real. Brinke Stevens plays herself, and her death scene is from Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. Her outfit is a loose interpretation of what she wore in the movie, but it is a 2-piece outfit, and her character is still barefoot. The hunter is in black leather and uses a crossbow, just like in Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. In 1992, a good 5 years after the movie was released, Senator Jesse Helms from North Carolina thought that it was the most vulgar movie that he had ever seen on cable. I'm pretty sure he didn't actually see it, he just went from the title. Anyway, he tried to change the Cable Act of 1992 to make it where cable companies had to block indecent programming from viewers unless viewers specifically asked for that programming. Tissa goes topless once. Daria has a rather tame sex scene. Shala is raped off-screen once. There is a couple murders, a couple decapitated heads. But really, Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity is a pretty tame movie, and it is pretty lighthearted. There are far worse movies that were seen on cable at that time. So why this one was picked out, I'm pretty sure it was because of the title. But anyway, Helms was unsuccessful. And also, wasn't nudity and violence why people got cable in the 80s and the 90s anyway? And that's Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. Like I said earlier, I like the movie. It's a low-budget movie, but I like it. It doesn't take itself very seriously, but it's still very good. Tell me in the comments what you think of the movie, and thanks for watching the video. I've enjoyed making it, and take care.
Experiences which stimulate me, singularly specific.